A lot has changed in 2024 for me, well, since really October. And I just wanted to run through a bit of a life update, more for myself to look back. I don't know how long I'm going to have to kind of record because Atlas is sleeping and Aurora's sitting on the couch. They're both sick. I'm also sick. At the end of October, I stopped using social media and it changed my life. It really has had an impact that I could not have imagined in the last few months. And I just wanted to run over like what those changes have meant and how that's affected different areas of my life and what 2024 is looking like into the future now. So I have a few notes on my phone that I wanted to talk about. First of all, pre-October, I was on Instagram every single day. I was sharing stories. I was running a coaching business through Instagram. I was posting for my video production business through Instagram. I was promoting this YouTube channel through Instagram, and I was just spending a lot of time on there. Fair to say, social media was kind of running my life. And for some reason, at the end of October, I just decided I needed a little bit of a break. I took it off my phone, and I didn't get it back. And it took me about 3 weeks, I think, or maybe even a month. Yeah, I think it was a month before I even went back on there. I didn't slip up once, which was just crazy because I've tried so many times to quit social media and just been so unsuccessful with it. So I spent a month completely off of Facebook and Instagram, and then I checked it sporadically. And since then, I check it a few times a week, probably for Instagram specifically, just through the browser, but it's such a bad experience because I don't have the app that I don't like to stay on there for too long. I just have a look and see if there's anything important from any people that I know in real life that I actually care about. And so much has changed. I actually have interests and hobbies that I didn't realize I had. Being a mother becomes your entire identity when you have babies and toddlers. And I think with Atlas turning 2, I'm kind of coming out of that phase. And I realized that I didn't really have any interest. If someone asked me what my hobbies were, I just would say like, I like hanging out with friends. And I was just like, this doesn't make sense because I spend all my time with my kids and my family and I don't really do anything for myself. And it wasn't intentional that way and I didn't feel resentful about it, but I realized I didn't have any hobbies. And I would spend all my free time on social media. And now that I'm not on there, I had all this free time. I spent a lot of time just being really bored. I started reading a lot, which is something that I used to do all the time as a kid. Read so many books all the time. And I really had lost touch with that because I was just scrolling on my phone, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to. I also got really into soccer, which is something that I was super into my entire life, my entire childhood. All I can remember was being obsessed with soccer, and I wasn't able to really start playing until I hit year 7 because there wasn't any teams available at my tiny little rural primary school. But when I went to high school, I was able to play, and I played 7 through to 12 and loved every second of it. And I'm actually thinking of starting again this year, which is like 10 years later. It's crazy, but I'm really excited to be going down that path. But anyways, I started watching soccer, specifically like women's soccer and specifically the Women's Super League over in the UK. And I've just gotten so invested in that and it's been so great and I'm loving it. And it's just really nice to have an interest and have a hobby and have something that I'm really passionate about and that I really care about. And I think I used to feel really weird about being into sport as a female because I think, you know, it's meant to be the guys thing, but I always really loved sport. I loved going to see sport live and watching games and just being a part of it and a part of the sporting culture. And I think after the World Cup being, like the Women's World Cup being in Australia last year, I think I really did jump on that bandwagon with a lot of other people. And I was like, well, I don't just need to follow because it's a World Cup that's at home. I can follow because I'm interested in it and it's accessible. And so I now watch, you know, all of the WSL games and a decent amount of the Women's League here in Australia as well. And we've got Brisbane Raw passes and we go to all the women's games and it's really, really good. And it's really nice to support and see women's teams because when I was, you know, playing and growing up, I didn't even know that the Matildas existed. You know, and it's really cool. And I know that they talk a lot about that, about how there's been this huge uptick in people taking an interest in the women's game. I think it's really cool. I think it's really awesome to watch the women's game because I find it's a very different type of game. It's a very different style of play to the men's league. That's a story for another time, but I really enjoy women's sports specifically. So that's been a really, really awesome thing that's come from staying off social media. And I feel like I still watch screens just as much, but instead of mindlessly scrolling, I'm like loving every second that I'm like taking in the games. So that's been really, really cool. Another thing I noticed about getting off of social media is that facts and opinions were not even mine. And the way that social media and content creation has come about, it's kind of like very much propaganda. And even if people aren't influencers per se, they're just random accounts, they're sharing the same message over and over again. And I feel like that kind of indoctrinated into my mind without me realizing it. And a lot of the opinions that I had surrounding parenting and motherhood and the way you should do things, the way you shouldn't do things, was very judgmental, and it wasn't my own. I didn't decide that I wanted that. So it was really humbling in a way, and now I'm starting to realize that I can actually just do things how I want to do things, and I have a lot more confidence in the way I'm doing things, probably because I'm not comparing myself to others. I know that that's a huge thing for myself and a lot of others as well, just comparing yourself when you're on social media all the time. So now that I'm not on there, I find that I don't question the way I'm parenting my kids as much, and I'm not so worried about how I'm failing in every way. I'm like, no, I'm actually doing a really good job, and I'm, putting in the best that I can for our family, and that's what matters, because the people that are posting things online don't know you, and don't know your family, and don't know your children, and don't know your life circumstances. I run a video production company from home. Jesse's going to TAFE right now, and he's doing sound production. The kids are in daycare, and it's just like a bit crazy, and that's fine. That's what happens when you have a 2 and a 4-year-old, but I don't need to feel bad that I'm not doing all of these things, because I think what we forget is that when we look at everyone doing the things that they do, they're not doing everything that we're seeing. They're just doing the thing that they're showing us. So some person might be really, really good at gentle parenting, and some person might be really, really good at messy play, and some other person might be really, really good at doing cloth nappies. And it's like, they're not all doing all of these things. And you're seeing that as the consumer, and you take that on as like, oh, I should be doing all these things. I'm not doing any of them, and I feel so bad. But there's things that I do that other people aren't able to do because they don't have the bandwidth. And it's just making choices for yourself about what you think is important. So that's been a really, really big thing for me, being on social media, is just like having my own opinions, having my own thoughts, and originality and creativity coming back into my life. I always thought that I wasn't very creative, which just seems silly because I've done so many creative things in my life, but I had this running internal monologue that I wasn't a creative person and I didn't have ideas. And I think that was just because I was consuming too much. How are you supposed to have ideas when you don't have space? Creativity comes from space, comes from boredom. And now that I've had time for that, I'm starting to find that I'm having ideas all the time. I mean, case in point, I decided to sit down and record a video, which I haven't wanted to do forever. Another hobby that I have taken up this year has been surfing. We got surfboards for Christmas, and we actually haven't used them all that much. It's been really, really difficult with bad weather. If you're in Australia, you'll know that we've had 2 cyclones within 4 weeks, and being in southeast Queensland, that means that we've had a lot of rain, and it just hasn't been very favourable to go to the beach. And we're in a bit of a special predicament of like, we want to be able to surf together. We want to be able to be there in case the other one needs help. And so that means that if we're going to the beach as a family, one of us is with the kids, one of us is in the water. Then we also have the dog that we want to be bringing with us sometimes, and we have all of this stuff, and it's really hard to fit the surfboards on the car, and it's an hour and a half drive. All these factors means that we haven't actually been surfing very much at all, but we're definitely looking to make it a bit more of a routine so we can build up the skills so that we can feel a bit more confident and comfortable going in the water, and going in alone as well, because I know that, we're not always going to have the time to go together. But that is something that I really want to focus on this year. A lot of my activities that I'm focusing on this year are quite physical. The biggest one probably is that I'm hoping to run a marathon this year. The longest distance I've ever run is 14K. And that was City to Surf in like 2014 or 2015, maybe 2016. So it's been a really long time. I've obviously had 2 kids since then. And I haven't really gotten too much into running. I've done little spouts of running here and there. But I'm committing to a marathon, and I feel like if I post this, then maybe I'm more likely to follow through with it. I bought some running shoes. I've been following a bit of a program, and it's a little bit daunting, but I'm excited about it, and I'm hopeful for how it's all going to go, and I'm keen to like feel really good and really strong in my body as well. So those are my key things I'm focusing on: soccer, surfing, reading, running, and just like feeling good overall in my body and in my family, my relationships, and my life. And cutting social media was the beginning of this snowball, and I'm really excited to see what comes from it, honestly, what else could possibly happen. The other huge area of my life is the business, and that's trucking along. There's definitely some changes that are coming. I don't quite know what that looks like yet, but something doesn't feel quite right, and I really want to be creating a business that I really love and that I want to be in the long term. And I really love what I do. I love creating videos. I love the clients that I get to work with. I love the stories that I get to create and the films that I get to put out. I've put out some really, really amazing things in the last few months, and I feel very grateful and honored to have had the privilege to do that. I'm really interested in the sporting side of things, and I wonder if it's worthwhile moving over towards that, or if I should be keeping that as a hobby. And otherwise, I'm feeling really pulled towards more social causes, environmental causes, things that really impact the community and help those in need or marginalized groups in general. I feel like video has a really strong power to make change and to open people up to different possibilities and just create opportunities for people. So I'm really interested to see what unfolds in the next few months. I know that things are happening and things are changing, and I'm just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens and what opportunities jump out and going with what feels right in the moment. I'm looking to make it a little bit more sustainable though, so I'm not in this constant hamster wheel of just overexerting myself to meet deadlines and then rushing work that I don't necessarily want to rush, because I want to give everyone the best possible piece of video that I can. So I've made the move away from social media videos because I find that the content creation hamster wheel makes me uneasy. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be creating content for social media. It's not meaningful enough for me, and it's got too short of a life cycle. The amount of time that I spend creating the videos that I create, it just doesn't feel right. And I don't think it's the best return on investment for my clients either, honestly. No one wants to spend thousands of dollars on a video that just, has a 24-hour life cycle. So I don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but I'm really hopeful that I'm going to be creating something that's a little bit more sustainable and that really piques my interest and that's really, really great for our clients as well. And I'm really excited about what the year has to hold for us. If you stay with me till the end, thank you so much. I don't know when I'll be back, but I'm trying to post one video a month at least. So I guess I'll see you in the next one.